It could be said that we just don't know how to talk anymore. In relationships, in our families, we just don't know how to talk. It's a wonder whether we ever resolved conflicts in the past. This is how we normally go, aside from the video. This is how we normally go in our relationships. We go loud. Go loud as soon as you can. Because if you're loud, it shows you're passionate. And sooner or later, the other person's going to say, oh, maybe I am wrong. And so if we go loud right away, that means we're right. Another thing we do is we personally attack. Sarcasm is expected. You need to do this. And maybe you attack the person's character. Or we go to the offended victim role. If you get offended really quickly, you can win in these arguments. And this conflict is yours if you get offended. The result in our world right now is that we don't talk. We don't resolve conflict. We don't bring about peace. And there's so many different reasons, but the result is all the same. It's destruction. It's divisiveness. And here's a big idea on this. If we fail to learn how to resolve conflict well, we will all be miserable. You're just going to be miserable in life because conflict is everywhere. We talked about Ukraine, the conflict there. Even in our relationships here, there's conflict. In your families, there's conflict. In your workplace, it's everywhere. It doesn't matter where. Conflict's everywhere. And if you haven't figured out how to deal with conflict, you're just going to be miserable. And I stand up here before you as someone who says, yeah, I don't resolve conflict all the time well. And hopefully you don't look at me, oh, Matt's got it together. That's not where I'm coming from today. The idea of it is we need to deal with these feuds in our life, the conflicts in our life. We need to figure these things out. Especially for church people, we're going to figure this out. The Bible just is chock full of conflict. It started even before, we started figuring things out. In the Bible, in the garden, there's that problem. How do we resolve this? I have a problem with God. Oh no, that snake is right? Cain and Abel. Two brothers are trying to figure it out. No, I'm not going to deal with it this way. I'll just kill my brother. Jacob and Esau. Well, Jacob stole this thing from me. I'm not going to resolve it. I'm just going to take his stuff. The early church, how do I resolve conflicts? The Apostle Paul had a problem with one of his missionaries, his partner. And for long periods of time he said, I am not going on another mission trip with him. This was the Apostle Paul. Even Jesus, he came so that we might have peace with God, was faced such tremendous conflict. People were trying to figure out and try to trap him all the time. So this is important. And why is this important for us today? Because we can't be right with God if we're not trying to be right with each other. We come here and we say, all right, God, I am all in on you. I need to get things right with you, and we go this way. But we just run away from each other. God says, no, I need you to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. But I also want you to love each other. This is two sides of the same coin. This is important. We need to resolve conflicts. We need to bring peace. As Jesus was talking about this from Matthew 18. All right, I'll give you this. All right, this is how you resolve this. He says that another believer sins against you. You have conflict all of a sudden. Go privately and point out the offense. Just go to him. Let's just try to figure this out. If the other person listens and confesses it, you have won this person back. The peace has been restored. But if you are unsuccessful, take one or two others with you and go back again, so that everything you say can be confirmed by 2 and 3 witnesses. Try to figure this out. If the person still refuses to listen, take your case to the church, because believers, maybe some wiser people be able to figure this out with you. Then if he or she won't accept the church's decision, treat that person as a pagan or a corrupt tax collector, which means to always pray for them. It doesn't mean to shun them for life. It means to pray for them. Find peace if that's possible in the future. And it sounds simple, but this relational peace is so hard to come by these days. And I'm not telling us anything new. And we all know this, that in every person's world, there's at least one person that you go, I have problems with this person. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to bridge that gap. I don't know if we can get to peace. Everybody has someone like that, or more than one person like that. But this can't be the normal status in our lives. It just can't be. Jesus says we are peacemakers. Blessed are the peacemakers. They will be children of God. So with the remainder of our time, I want to talk about 6 steps that we need to jump into to find peace in our conflicts. And as I said earlier, it's like, man, I don't do all these all the time. Sometimes I just nail them, like, oh, I got that one. And other times it's like, man, I just fell apart on this one. But these are ones that will lead us towards being peaceful, bringing the peace with God and peace with other people. So I'm going to get these. If you have your program, there's a spot in there that you can write these down. I listed some Bible references in there. So you're saying, well, I'm not sure Matt knows what he's talking about. Look this up. God gives us some wisdom on how to resolve these things in our life so that our families and even our relationships are loving and are full of peace. So with that, let me jump in with a couple of these. First one is to check your blind spots. Check your blind spots. A couple cars ago, I was driving, I get in my car, I look in all the mirrors, just because that's how you're taught as an early driver. You look at all your blind spots, right? You look in your mirrors. And then I'm backing out, and it wasn't too long, and I start hearing this crunching sound in back of my car. And of course, I stop, and I get out, and I ran over the garbage can. I did all the things that I was supposed to do. I looked in the mirrors. I looked all around. I just was in a blind spot. I had wrecked the garbage can. The problem was I didn't even know it was there. I didn't. I felt so stupid, but I didn't know it was there. And the things that when we jump into these conflicts, sometimes we need to do some self-work before we take that first step. Because all of us have blind spots. Oh, wait a minute, what? That was in my world? What? How did that get so big so fast? Why is that such a huge conflict? Here's an idea for us all. We never argue issues. We argue emotions. We argue emotions, not the issues. When a person says something, we attach emotions to that. I'll give you examples. When Susie Smarty Pants, back in 4th grade, said this thing and embarrassed you in front of a huge crowd of people, you were humiliated. You said, oh, how could she ever do that? And you attached a lot of emotion to those words that she said. When little Johnny, your friend, you told him something in confidence, and he blabbed it to lots of people. It was right there that you said, I am betrayed. I am not ever going to tell somebody deep in my heart anymore. You attach those emotions. And oftentimes those emotions come out because we haven't worked those through yet. They come out in our relationships. So we need to get rid of our blind spots, or at least be aware of them. So that happened, boom. I attached my emotions to it, and it's me that I brought into that, and those emotions. But we need to check ourselves first. And then we need to starve the fire. We need to starve the fire. Sooner or later we have to take steps to help resolve something. We have to take steps, but when our first steps are coming in, hopefully we deflate the issue as quickly as possible. When I was in the church boys cadet program, it was the cadets, it's like the church Boy Scouts. One of the most fun badges that we had was fire building. It was just wonderful. We would go on the campouts, and we had this one counselor. His name was Mr. Moose Miller. It was like the coolest name ever. We would just call him Moose. And he was like, get a picture of this guy. He's a little bigger. He's a truck driver. He's got this beard that make him look like Duck Dynasty person. And he's just a little rough around the edges. And he was to teach us how to build fires. It was so much fun. All right, go get some wood there. And get some kindling, something to start it. And then here's your match. Go start your fire. It's like, okay, all right. Expectations were high, right? We're going to do this. Mine failed. It was just awful. And this is what happened. I built it. I thought I built it right. I didn't read the manual well enough. And we weren't allowed to play with fire at my house very much. So I just figured this out. All right, pack it all in there. Light it. And it started, and all of a sudden, it died. It just died. And I'm going, well, what do I do? It should go. And it didn't. The idea was this. It was smothered out. It wasn't, to have a good fire, you need a fuel source, like the wood, something to make it, that is going to burn, but also it needs oxygen. If it doesn't have any oxygen, it just smothers out. And I say it this way, that we need to starve those relational fires. We need to suck all the oxygen out of that fire so it just smolders and just dies. What if we did that? The issues are always going to be there, but what if we just sucked out everything that's going to help it thrive? We just took that out. Here's a words that I will say that help to take all the oxygen out of it. You start off by saying, I'm sorry. I know this. You're shocked, like, wait a minute. Matt, you just don't take that first step in and say, I'm sorry. What if we did? What if you said, I am sorry that it got to this point. I'm sorry that this is not how I wanted it. I'm sorry because I know what I did. These are the things I did. I know that it blew up from there, but I'm just sorry. And you tell a person your heart. What if we started that way? And we take out all that oxygen that helps it thrive, this fire just explode, and we just make it smolder and suffocate. And then you can get to what's really the issue. Man, we need to check our blind spots, but start off with just starving that fire. Get down to what the issues there by taking off your tool belt as well. And hopefully you're getting an idea here. Some of these things are these are just part of life. But a tool belt here this one's a tough one for guys especially, but sometimes for women as well. I was telling the worship team before church, for years I thought this was just built into the Eenigenburg DNA. That it's if you get into any conflict situation, it's important that you convince the other person that you're right. And you don't stop until you have convinced them that you're right. That's the way I know that it's built in. I've seen uncles and aunts and grandpas work this, and you just don't stop until you have convinced that person, because you know what is supposed to happen. Anybody not know what I'm talking about yet, right? No, nobody here it has this in their DNA. I think that we do. That it's important for us to say, no, it's up to me to fix your thinking because your thinking is crazy. My job is to convince you. I need to fix you. And we forget that only God can change a heart. Only God fixes a person. No, it's our job to do this. And that has caused more problems in my world than I think most other things. No, I know what has to be done. And it's my job to fix it. And I'm not talking about little kids. The jobs of parents is to help and almost fix the behavior of kids. Say, no, this is not acceptable. I need to fix this. We need to change that behavior. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about resolving a conflict that it's up to us to fix the other person because they obviously don't think right. They don't feel right. Man, we need to take off our tool belts to thinking that we can fix another person because that never happens. Am I depressing anybody yet? And these are ideas on how do we resolve conflict well. And not only in marriage relationships, families, and even outside. These are things that hopefully you don't get so depressed like, man, I don't do this. I'm going to throw up my arms and I give up. No, these are things that we need to notice and put into practice. So let me go on. Stop trying to fix people and just play catch. Just play catch. My brother was 18 months older than me. And I had a built-in playmate all the time. And our favorite game was to play catch. It didn't matter what type of ball. You know, hey, you want to go play catch? I got nothing else to do, and I don't have to do the dishes then. Let's go play catch. And we would just go play catch. And throw a ball back and forth. And sometimes we just didn't go outside. And if my parents are watching, I apologize now for all the broken windows. And I remember most of them were my fault. I just didn't do that well. But we would play catch. And then this is the way you did it, right? One person has the ball, and they throw it to the other person. The other person catches it. Says, got it, time to throw it back. You throw it back. It's pretty easy. It's an easy game. What if we did that to resolve a conflict? We could do this, right? We know how to stop playing catch. Throw the ball so hard that, I can't catch it. It like hit me in the head or something like that. We know how to stop playing catch. Or you throw it so crazy like, and it goes over their head that they can't catch it. And then they got to chase it down, and they get more frustrated. I threw it over my head again. Well, or we say, I'm not going to throw the ball. I'm taking the ball and I'll go home. That's the way we stop playing catch. Relationally, we throw the ball so a person can catch it. And one person throws it at a time, right? So the other person say, okay, my job is to catch it, to receive it, to maybe listen. And then, okay, it's my turn to throw it back. And I'm not going to throw it so hard with so much force that I'll show them how hard I can throw it. That's not going to help us play catch. But to work out a conflict, you play catch. One at a time. Listening. The goal is peace. And this is part of the process. And in order to do this, we need to have some solid ground rules for communication. These are solid ground rules. Whenever I have a premarital counseling, one of the biggest things that I talk about is, you need to figure out some good ground rules. This is how we're going to talk with one another. This is how we're going to resolve conflict. This is how we're going to just be at peace. People don't break up in marriages. Marriages don't break up because of sex and money. They break up because people can't talk well about sex and money. They haven't figured out how to resolve that conflict. That's the issue, but you haven't figured out how to talk about it. These are those ground rules, how to communicate, how to talk about it. I listed a couple of easy ones for us. We don't make fun or belittle the other person. You think that? We don't do that. That doesn't help us play catch. No cursing or yelling at the other person. You know, if you're loud, you aren't talking. You're just loud. You know, throwing things or other people. Right? These are basics. You know, different doesn't mean wrong. Just because you throw that ball differently than the other person, the key is to get that to the other person and to hear it. And one person throws it at a time. You know, these are your basics. This is how we play catch and take steps to resolve that conflict well. I think this is the biggest one that I think we fall down on. We don't have ground rules on how to talk and play catch. So we need to play catch. And within all of this, we keep the number one rule here is to love early and love often. Love needs to be at the very center of this. Because this is what we hear. Here's what we hear. I'm just telling the truth. You know, you just can't handle the truth. No, really what you're doing is you're just being rude. You're being insensitive. No, you are being divisive, and the love of Jesus is not in your words right now. You just want to say what you have to say. You're not bringing it out in love. You don't care about that person. You know, if you're seeking peace in your conflict without love, pretty soon it becomes a Jerry Springer show. Or for those of you that are a little younger, like a Facebook rant or a TikTok angry post, right? It's these types of things. Without love, that's where it devolves to. You know, we need to be factual within our conflict. We need to talk about the truth, but we need to bring it about truthfully and lovingly. Here's the way to do this. We go at it this way. You start off with the sentence, you know that I care about you, don't you? And if you can't hear them saying, yes, I know you care about me, then all the other words that you're going to say are going right through their ears. But if they know that you care about them, they know that you're coming at it from love, then what you say, I need to say something, is going to be heard. But we need to start with love. We need to start with that foundation of, I know this person cares about me, so I will listen to that. Let me go with my last one. Hopefully you've gotten a hold of these that you're saying, I need to do some of these. And when we're going through these, it's not about, I need to do all of these all at once. Sometimes we just need to grab a hold of one or two of them and say, I need to do this one better. I need to check my blind spots. So I got plenty of them. Or I need to show love early and often. I need to do that as well. I mean, we'll feel overwhelmed if we have to bring them all at the same time. You know, take a couple of these. Get them right. Add some others to your toolbox. Let me give you the last one. Sometimes it's necessary to call a timeout. We're not getting anywhere. We're just not getting anywhere. We need to just take a little time, because the words that are coming out of our mouth are going to be something bad, and we're not going to mean them deep down, and it's just going to cause more of the same. We just need to stop it there, because rarely does a heated moment produce a positive result. We just need to take a little break, time it out here. It doesn't mean that you say, all right, we're done with the conversation, we'll just throw it away. It means we're going to come back to it. So when are we going to come back to this? When can we come back? Because we need to finish it. The unresolved conflicts cause so many problems. I won't give you more examples than that, but the couples that, we were angry with each other, and then got this coldness in the room for like 3 days. And we don't talk with each other, and we're really short. We just don't resolve it. The key here is you set a time within 24 hours, we need to get back to this. Otherwise, we're going to forget about it, and we'll say, oh, what was that about again? Oh, I forget. We'll just throw it away. And you never get it back to peace. But sometimes that timeout is necessary. Take it, and then get back in the game and figure this out. Especially early in your marriage, you need to figure some of these things out because they're like, this is foundational for our marriage. Okay, got it. Awesome. We can go on. We want to make sure we got this right going forward. Because the goal is peace in our relationship going forward. We don't have good ways to deal with that. Let me end with this. Jesus called all of us in the Sermon on the Mount. He said, blessed are the peacemakers, because they will be children of God. Blessed are the peacemakers in your family relationships, as spouses, amongst children, in your extended family, which sometimes is where the bigger ones are anyways. How can we bring peace to the family here? If there's conflicts here, how can we bring it to peace? May God bless us this week as we seek to resolve conflicts in our families, our bigger families, and our church families, to deal with these family feuds and become peacemakers as God's children. Let me pray with you. Lord, make us instruments of your peace. Where there is hatred, let us sow love. Where there is injury, let us bring forgiveness. Where there is despair, let us bring hope. Where there is darkness, let us bring your light. Grant that we might not so much seek to be comforted as to comfort, not so much to be understood as to understand, not so much to be loved as to love one another. Lord Jesus, make us instruments of your peace. Amen.